Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software Greatech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. We recorded this conversation with Steve Dell'Orto, founder and CEO of ConCntric, at the Advancing Preconstruction show in Denver. Hope you enjoy the conversation. Welcome to the show, Steve. Thanks for coming in and dropping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with kind of how you got into the industry to begin with.
Yeah, the construction industry, has been great to me. Been in it for 30 odd years now. First 26 years of that journey was in construction, project management route. Ultimately led into building, regions and business units within a top 10 general contractor, Clark Construction. And along the way, always had a lot of exposure voluntarily into bidding the work back when that was a much more common delivery. That moved, as the industry has, into more collaborative deliveries, which I really got a kick out of. How do I help the customer? How do I build up a team? How do we really optimize the outcomes with good in-depth planning and just, thoughtful strategies, etc. So ultimately concluded my career as an executive officer running a $2 billion plus region that I had a big hand in growing from a few $100 million to that $2 billion mark.
Yeah, awesome.
Along the way, I just saw what I could relate to with peers in the industry, that a very common struggle was precon and just the lack of data usage, the lack of any formalized systems. And when you sit back and define precon, it's 30 to 40 different workflows. If you're doing it right, you're doing more than just an estimate. You're planning and touching all kinds of different contract insurance strategies. Then there's just a ton of documentation you have to build up. Highly manual. I would watch all of our folks just pouring people hours galore, like probably operating at 150% of their capacity. And I just thought, man, it wasn't scalable for us. We kind of topped out at that because we just couldn't take on any more work. We just didn't have the infrastructure to scale with us. So finally I just said, I know how to solve this. And I had a customer recently tell me they're, an operationally self-perform oriented leader at a major GC said, 80% of our fate on our job from an operations standpoint, they know is determined and set in the planning stage of the job. And I just thought he got it. Thought he nailed it. And so that's what I left to start a software company to go solve. And then along the way got plugged into the venture capital community, and I'm an advisor to 8 fantastic startups in the construction tech space. Long-winded explanation of how I got into the industry, but I'm very passionate about how to affect change across the industry. Clearly with ConCntric and precon, but everywhere else that I can, because I've been in it for so long, and I think it's rare that somebody from inside the industry with 30 years of experience is building software to solve the problems that fortunately I know intimately.
Yeah. Did anything surprise you moving over to the software side of the industry?
Yeah, quite honestly, doing podcasts and being so out there, and everybody's telling me, Steve, you're all over LinkedIn, and that's not the most comfortable thing for me to do, but that was a unique, different thing from contracting. But if it gives ConCntric and me a platform to drive that change in the industry, then I'm all in.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. Do you think there's a common kind of misconception that people have when they think of precon?
Several. People who don't do it, they just think estimating and precon are synonyms. That's like saying a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. It's not the same thing. So there's way more to it that most people really don't appreciate. That's one. Two, I think people don't appreciate the role that the people in precon, the professionals, all the people, that's what I love about this conference. It's 100% precon focused. But the folks doing that day in and day out largely, may be viewed differently and not as appreciated as the superintendents and the PMs in the more operationally focused roles, because they're the product, and what they are doing day in and day out is it's physical and it's tangible, and people get excited to see steel swinging off of a crane and all that. But the career path and what is done on the front end, much more entrepreneurial, much more working in the abstract. You're think of it as like a blank canvas when you first engage before any design's done, and you're part of the artist team, if you will, that ultimately paints that plan that other people then go execute. But the profitability for all stakeholders involved, the way the building performs financially and otherwise, all that's determined in the front end, and that takes very, very smart people. And so the industry is fortunate to have a lot of smart people, not enough, but they're underserved with powerful technology that just makes their life easier, leverages all the data and the knowledge and the information that they have accrued in their experience, and have that in one place that's accessible and usable for the next job and the next job. And that's what ConCntric's doing, is really enabling that, because think of it as a flywheel that the one piece of data from the project you do today is cycling through future projects and is getting more and more enriched and enhanced, and the company is just going to be so much further ahead once we get them there. But the other challenge in the industry is just change is hard, and this industry is, everybody's working way over capacity, so it is very hard for them to stop, and with the mountain of work that they've got to get done in a given day, and just try to do something differently. And they know that, all right, if I just break the trend and I do it the new way once, I will save time forever going forward. But just making that one leap and finding time to do it, is proving to be more of a challenge than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. I see that so often that people, they're so busy that their bandwidth is just overextended, that they don't think that they have the time to sit down and have that kind of white space time to think strategically, to figure out what's working, what's not working. They're just totally in reactive mode. So how do we go about shifting that paradigm?
There's this classic cartoon drawing that I like to distribute. It's two guys pushing a wagon full of round wheels, but the wagon has square wheels, and they're just yelling at each other to push the wagon harder. Instead of stopping and changing out the wheels for the round ones to go a little bit smoother. So that one cartoon just cracked me up, and I just thought it captured perfectly what we're up against.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the data and using data on one project to really give insights and help improve future projects. How do people go about that? Is that what's the practicality of that?
Broad question. Let me take a stab at it, though. Right now, people primarily are using Excel, and that's the filler, because they may be using Excel for their estimate, or they're using software that exists today that is, enables them to do the detailed estimate. Think of it as a calculator. So you get results. Those results don't really reside in anything that's properly structuring that data in a way that the information about that project is very relevant to what that one price point represents. And so until you connect all those dots, then it's more of just a number in a cell, and you shouldn't think of it as data. But what we do is we're, without added effort, taking the data that you put in from your estimate into our platform and properly characterizing it with all of the other information about the project, so that the intelligence within our platform is constantly growing to say, oh, okay, I see you've started another multifamily housing project. We can then push data that's automatically adjusted or presentable in the context of that new project without you having to lift a finger. That's just one aspect of this, but it's one that I like to tell, because we spend time with our customers and our soon-to-be customers, having them really itemize all the steps that they go through in the status quo. And they have no idea the value of the people hours expended doing it that same old way. And then when you bring that to light, it's the light bulb goes off and they realize, me as an individual, we're working our butts off unnecessarily when there is technology out there today that can do it in a nanosecond.
Yeah. So is that taking AI and kind of combing through data from previous projects to say, hey, you did this, most often look at this, or is it just?
No, I hesitate to put this in the AI bucket. We're there, but those are more basics. This industry is not going to be solved by somebody swooping in and saying, hey, AI is going to solve your problem, because AI depends on good structured data and accessible, data, however it gets it. And the industry isn't even there yet. I mean, everybody's locked up in, C drive, Excel files, and, you can't get to it. So until we get, that's why we're building the platform from the bottoms up, so we can get the workflows digitized, the best of the best practices. And these aren't standalone. They all relate to one another. Because precon is not this balkanized, one thing does not relate to the next. No, it's highly integrated. And that's why our whole strategy and uniqueness is that we are approaching this as a pure platform. Certainly integrating, like we've done successfully with Autodesk, to have great point solutions like Building Connected that does one aspect of the buyout. We don't need to go build something for that. There's so much other stuff that needs to be built. But for the benefit of our customer, let's have that data seamlessly flow and migrate in, out, back, every which way. And so we'll just be that one environment that can leverage and access and talk to any of the other pieces of software that are out there that our customers like to use. There's not that many of them, right? So there's just a lot for us to go tackle, and we're well on our way. We're building, as people have told us, we're building out functionality 4 times faster than they've seen any other software company build it out.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the change management side of things? So, there's so many different parts and components to construction. Even within one, large firm, there's lots of different workflows and kind of processes. How do you go about getting everybody on the same page to adopt and embrace the change?
That's a work in progress, quite honestly. Like, every company is different.
Right.
You have, we have a fairly focused definition of a customer that we think is going to be well suited for us. Somebody has nothing to do with being big or small. If you're a $50 million a year revenue company, or you're a $5 billion, we have customers and from that entire range. But fundamentally, they have to be doing some form of collaborative delivery, heavy into precon. Most contractors are. There's still a few holdouts that do primarily hard bid work. And there's something in the platform for them too, but most of our customers are doing a lot of that front end precon early planning work. So that's who we cater to, but again, they're managing change for them. We have to meet them where they are and then define the best way to get them engaged, knowing that they're very, very busy. We don't want to waste their time. But the good news is our platform is super easy to implement. Our development team, our designer, she's brilliant, as is our entire dev team, and they take great pains to make this as simple as, the classic 18-month-old who knows how to swipe an iPad and get to pictures and stuff like that. We strive to be like a B2C, personal device, ease of use for a very complex business to business or B2B platform, and that starts with good design. And so the implementation is very, very light touch for us, but change is hard, and they got to get off their Excel spreadsheets, and they have to familiarize themselves with, we're up to 13 solutions now, so there still is a lot for them to be exposed to, even though it's easy to use. But we get people onboarded in a matter of days, so a couple days.
Yeah.
one of the big challenges I experienced at my time in the construction chapter of my career is the software that was being developed was overly complicated, certainly not built by people that had walked in our shoes, so that they didn't quite understand the use and the business case, and so that found its way into the design, so it was always off. 9 times out of 10, it created more work, just more data entry to get an output, and that, we didn't want to do that. So we set out to make this super easy to implement, super easy to use, and self-teach. And we strive to do it. We don't have it perfect yet, but simple is hard, and we work on it every day.
Yeah, I like it. Zooming out, what do you think is one of the kind of biggest challenges facing the pre-construction?
I think one challenge, I don't know if I'd classify it as a challenge. I almost make it a warning, in that if you look around, you have to pull your head up and realize that the world and computing power and, look at social media, everything is changing at a rapidly growing clip. It's almost exponential. And so that same thing is happening to our industry. And so if you don't get ahead of it and embrace it now, this is not one of those things that you can play with and have 3 years worth of business plan meetings and talk about and don't really put anything in place. You can't afford that anymore. Right. You will be so far behind, you'll never be able to catch up. And if everybody's winning work and you're not, you die. And we have plenty of examples where already, and I knew this during my career, owners are getting, it's not that they're getting smarter, they're just learning from what worked and what didn't work. And they ultimately, owners, architects, everybody at the table, you're wanting a certainty of outcome. And that's not the end of precon. That's like, okay, I just bet my life on a pro forma for this idea of a building. I want to go build on this parking lot, but that building doesn't get built and activated for 3 to 5 years from that point. There's not too many industries where you're selecting a team and embarking on a thing and you don't really know your end result for five years plus. And so this degree of certainty is super important, and they don't get that right now. Everybody's just passing on what the market says. There's no source of truth. It's Excel spreadsheets, whether you trust it, whether you don't. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. So, the industry has, a ways to go to really be able to take advantage of what is out there. They just have to have that will to make it happen. And if they don't, we've got plenty of examples of our customers showcasing their way of doing precon in a more sophisticated way, and it is a key element of the deciding factor of them winning those jobs. And so the owners are demanding it of our customers. Yeah. And so that's huge.
Do you see a tipping point where people that are sitting on the sidelines will kind of gather that will and join the race that's already well underway?
Yeah, there's the classic, you've got the progressive first movers that are early adopters. And then you've got the pack that not that far behind, but certainly don't want to be the first to use anything. And then you got the laggards. Right. You don't want to be a laggard. And if you're in that middle pack, you might find that those more early adopters are scooping up all the work, because people value technology. People value a complete package. I want the talent and I want the technology that supports them, because I need something new. I need something better, because all of my experience in the last 5, 10, 15 years, it's a roller coaster, and I'm done riding the roller coaster. I've had former clients of mine, when I was running the construction company, that's how they would describe it. And it wasn't unique to us. That was a representation of their experience with the industry. So.
Yeah. So what do you see as, looking out over the, let's say 10 years, how is precon going to look different in 10 years?
A precon is going to look different in 2. We're not talking about a 10-year horizon here. It's going to be far more data-driven. It needs to be more visual. What people don't appreciate is you're going to have the very best estimator, even the very best pre-construction person, come to the table armed with their binders of printed out Excel estimates and drawings and everything. People on the other side of the table, they're very busy. They don't have the bandwidth to read all that, and that's not their language. And what's important is to take all of that and give them the important bottom line, message. Tell the story. And people are not teed up to do that currently in the industry. And so we're also helping them not tell the story, but really present the narrative around all of this work that's being done. What does that mean? Are we good? Are we above budget? Are we below budget? Have we thought about this? Do we have good market coverage? All that has to be verbalized, and sometimes it's like pulling teeth for an owner to extract that out of the contractor. When it's all right there and you're showing them the work that you do, the trust goes up. The transparency is critical to trust. And then they see the value that you're providing, and they're going to want to work with you again and again and again, because nobody else is doing it as openly and thoughtfully and as effectively as you are.
Yeah.
But you need to have data. You need to have a system. These great people, that are doing the precon day and day, they just don't have any more capacity to do it in this manual, analog way. And I've watched it firsthand. I've done it. It's hard. It doesn't need to be that hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we start to land the plane, a couple rapid fire questions for you. First, what is the phrase modeling the future? What does that kind of mean and look like to you?
Modeling the future.
Yes.
That's a new one for me. I don't know if I have the best answer for that one. If you had to model the future, it's going to be really about seeing is believing. And so anything you can do to make something more visual, more understandable, and more easily digestible, that's what people want. I think you've read all these articles about people's attention spans have shrunk significantly because we're all conditioned on our phones, and we're just need to have information at our fingertips faster and faster. The business world in construction, particularly in pre-construction, that's what it's all about. The bandwidths are shrinking. You need to get to the bottom line. The takeaway has to be just right there, grab and go. And that's what we're here to support.
Yeah, I agree. More visual, the better.
Yeah.
So what does innovation mean to you?
It's constant, and it's the rate at which people know they need to innovate, or certainly will realize they need to innovate, is increasing at an increasing rate. And that's just the world we live in today. It's just technology driving everything. You hear about AI, you hear about everything. It's faster than many times over than when I started in the industry in the early 90s. So again, it just points to the fact that there's better, smarter ways, and we have less resources at our disposal to get effectively build what is coming at us. Population growth in the U.S. is expected to increase by 25% by 2040. That's something like 80 million people just in the U.S. alone.
It's crazy.
So what does that mean with housing and hospitals and the widths of our highway system? Everything all has to be replaced, expanded, whatever. At the same time, we have people leaving the industry because the baby boomer generation's retiring, and they're projecting a third of our workforce will be retiring by 2028. So buckle up. We've got about 3.5 years to get ready for significant talent deficit.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? You can't invent people. You have to re-innovate your processes to get more out of, whether it's a computer or better ways of doing things that just require less labor. So,
yeah. How do people find out more information and connect with you?
all kinds of ways, but our front door to our proverbial house is our website. So if they come to our website at concentric.com, ConCntric.com, they can spend time with our team, book a demo, certainly get connected with us through LinkedIn. And if they happen to be listening to this, if this posts while we're here at the conference, they can certainly flag me down and any of the ConCntric team.
Yeah, awesome. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing, what would you pick to innovate?
Precon.
How so?
With ConCntric.
There you go. Nice. Well, Steve, thanks so much.
Thank you for the softball.
You're welcome.
This
Thanks
is great.
for joining us. Yeah.
This is great.